What is the moment when I first started thinking I would spend my time, so much time at the cinema? I think it's a moment that was stretched over time, but its stages are quite easily identifiable. First of all, I'd seen lots of movies before I ever went to the movies, because my mother used to tell me the plots of all the movies she saw as if they were kinds of fairy tales. So I knew the contents of a whole number of 30s and 40s star vehicles before I ever set foot in the cinema. The first film I have any conscious memory of is a film with John Wayne and Ray Milland, where they're both deep sea divers and they have a great battle underwater with each other and with an octopus. And I think I understood something about movies and horror and strange creatures at that point. But the real moment when actually things changed for me was when I was a research student. I'd seen lots of movies, but they were nearly all American movies and they were mainstream, and I had not really thought about movies as art. I hadn't thought about who directed them and so on. And there was and I think many people hadn't, but so my becoming aware that films had directors and they were put together by people who made all these decisions, and it was a good thing to know who the director was, and that if you saw 2 or 3 films by the same director, you might recognize certain things going on. It was just like reading certain novelists or whatever. That happened around about 1960 or something, and it coincided with the birth of the new wave in France and the works of Bergman, the works of Buñuel, and there was a huge sort of there were tremendous numbers of great movies all the time. Susan Sontag, not long before she died, wrote an essay called Cinephilia, where she lamented the death of the old cinema. And what she meant by the old cinema was the fact there were great new works all the time. And there is something, that's luck. You're lucky if you're born at such a moment when these things can happen. But for me, I also remember reading a piece about Fellini by Lillian Ross, which Fellini said when he was a child he went to the movies, but he didn't know, not only did he not know there were directors, he didn't know there was a script. He thought the actors made the things up. And I think that, in a way, is a sort of proper attitude to go to the cinema with. Just, it is what it is, it's going on. And you don't have to know who the director is, and it's not always a good thing to know who the director is, but that's also a different thing to know. So I like to think of these 2 modes of movie going: octopuses, fights under the water, and not knowing that anybody made them, with a kind of study of directors as well. So, but it was knowing about directors and being lucky enough to be there when there were a lot of great new movies coming out that really changed things.